It's time for round 9 of season 2 of the Canadian E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series regular season. The Rampage Coffee Company 125, live from the virtual Iowa Speedway in Newton, Iowa. Hello everyone and welcome to our coverage on Facebook Live. Jordy Carraher here alongside Mark Cox. And Mark, we've got some lovely Rampage coffee products here right offhand. I've got the Code Black Dark Roast in my hand here, and you?
I got the Riot Medium Roast coffee right here.
And if you want some of your own, head over to rampagecoffee.com. And certainly not the first time we've done a product placement, I guess you could say, over the airwaves here. But we are going to see a number of firsts here tonight. Obviously, first time that we're going to be at Iowa Speedway. And also the first time we're going to see a brand new driver here in the series. For those who missed it, Cody Cudmore no longer in the series with us. Instead, or his replacement now within Red Dirt Racing, Hunter Young. You were chatting with him a little bit earlier today, Mark.
Yeah, I was chatting with Hunter. He will be driving in the number 20 Ford Mustang in Red Dirt Racing. I asked him a few questions. He has a fair amount of sim experience from what he said when I was talking to him. He loves F1 games. He's played everything from Dirt Rally, Tony Stewart, anything with wheels. So he's a real racing fan. His family actually has roots in big block modified racing and small block modified racing. So this guy is looking like he'll be a great addition to our series.
And we're certainly looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table here as well. And, you know, Red Dirt Racing, they've had their fair share of success this year. And a prime example of that was last week at Sonoma as we take a look at our race results from last time around. And it was the number 17, the Red Dirt Racing team owner, Corbin McCauley, who took an absolutely dominant victory there at Sonoma.
Yeah, very dominant. Led pretty much the last stage there. He took a huge chunk of time out and made a pit stop without losing any positions, which is a first, I think, in our series where a driver who's leading the race hasn't really lost a position due to pitting. And he did the same in Formula One, and I'm sure if he gets in that groove tonight, he could do the same.
14.5-second margin between himself and second place finisher Jose Mercado, with third place John Peden right there. We talked to all three of them last week in our post-race interview as well, and they certainly provided...
Oh, it feels great to get that win, obviously. It's good to be back in this interview as well. It's been a while since I've actually been in the top 3 or even won a race. So it feels really good to be back here. And honestly, that performance I put on, I'm not entirely sure how I got out to that big of a lead, but it was optimal, of course. So yeah, it's nice to be back here.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure. When you're playing catch up and trying to chase somebody, you just push the car a little too much and you make mistakes. So maybe, but he was too consistent. He wasn't making any mistakes. So it was tough to make up 10 seconds. I think I got it down to like 7.6, and then I started pushing it and lost it a couple times. So that's how Gator close up to me. I had a 3-second gap to Gator, and he got right to my back bumper. I kept making mistakes.
In the preseason, I felt pretty good that I could run top 10 or so. And after Daytona, it wasn't the best Daytona for me, but after that, I got settled in, and I like where I'm at in this field. I know I'm not going to win most of the races, but I can consistently be top 5, top 10, and just put myself in position and hope one time I can get a win, you know?
And again, the dominant victory from Corbin McCauley puts him in second overall now. So take a look at the updated driver standings. McCauley is the second multi-time winner this year on the top 10.
Yeah, and you know what? Some of these drivers that do have wins, they'll be looking too to get that second win under the belt as well. And of course, we have all these other drivers that are fighting for wins that also won't win. So yeah, we have a lot of drivers looking for that.
And we heard John Peden there in the images last week. He's certainly a guy who's knocking on the door out of our first-year drivers. He's currently top rookie in the
Yeah, it was a close race for the Rookie of the Year standings earlier this season, but Tony Peden has really taken these standings by the reins and has just ran with them all season.
Yeah, he absolutely has been in fourth place record time there as well, both of Cobra Kai, and their performance so far is a big reason why Cobra Kai tops the team standings as well.
Yeah, and like I said, Cobra Kai is just consistent every race in, race out. Always there to get the points and always there to collect just a massive amount of points. Much like Midwest Youth was doing earlier in the season, but Cobra Kai is really starting to take over.
Yeah, just 22-point gap still between Cobra Kai and Midwest Youth at the top, but you never know, maybe with the new others coming on as well, maybe Red Bird makes some.
Yeah, it would be nice to see that.
And yeah, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break now. And on the other side, we'll talk about a couple of different things, as a matter of fact, a couple of significant anniversaries here. We've also got our first bubble projection of this season. And yeah, we're on to commercial. We'll be back in a sec. All right, everybody, and welcome back to the show here. And as we mentioned right before the commercial break, we do have, a couple of significant anniversaries here. The first being, 1 year since the initial announcement of the Canadian E-Motorsports Network. And it's not only amazing to see how it's grown, but we're so thankful to have everybody's support here as well over the last year.
Yeah, and it's great to see our viewership and all of our support just rise and rise and rise.
Yeah, and, anniversaries, they can go the other way as well. And tonight's also the 3-year anniversary of the Humboldt Broncos bus crash as well. So over the course of tonight's race, you'll see a number of drivers sporting green and yellow on their cars as a slightly different look on their paint schemes, just as a tribute to the 16 people who perished on that bus on that fateful day 3 years ago.
Yeah, and it's very nice to see all these tributes coming in.
All right. However, there is still racing to be had here, and we're getting closer and closer to the playoffs here. And for now, we are going to go ahead and bring out our first bubble projection of the season as we take a closer look at our playoff picture, particularly the bottom of it. And as you can see on the screen, the way our projections work, right now we would project 16th place to have 301 points after the last regular season race, which happens in 6 weeks' time. And that projection comes from the fact that 16th place Andy Hurdle currently has 172 points, and we just did that, multiplied it by 14 divided by the number of races. So again, there's Andy Hurdle in 16th, but it's tight competition right there at the bubble.
Very, very tight. As you can see, 1 point separating 16th and 17th. But all throughout, 16th through 20th is going to be a massive battle. Those drivers will be hunting for stage points, like high positions and finishes and everything. Like, this next 6 weeks are going to be tight, packed with races.
It's going to be very interesting to see how it goes for sure. And now, again, this is a brand new track to us here, Iowa Speedway, for our second season of the NASCAR series. So I'd say probably not a better time to get a look at a bit of a ride along here than right about now. So Mark, take it away.
Yeah, so Iowa is actually a 7/8 mile of track, which is a mouthful to say. It's a tricky track. It's a short track. It's got 12 to 14 degree banking in the NASCAR corners. It levels out more towards the back straight and the front straight, but similar to Michigan. Very, very tight racing here tonight. It's going to be a difficult track, as we can see here. Drivers lifting and coasting in through the corners. A lot of technical ability goes into this race here tonight, and I can probably say it's going to be a top driver that comes out on top here tonight. So just watch for really, really, really tight action on track tonight. There's a lot of space to work with. But there are two lines that actually work, the high side and the low side. So after tonight, we'll be able to tell you if the high side prevails or the low side prevails.
And we know certainly somebody's going to prevail here soon enough. 3 stages here tonight, 34 laps in stage 1, 31 in stage 2, 67 in stage number 3. Our first true short track of the season. It's bound to be an interesting race, but for now, it's time for the Star Spangled Banner and O Canada, followed by the 4 most famous words in racing.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal. Driver, start your engine!
All right, everybody, we are just about set to go here for tonight's Rampage Coffee Company 125. Just enough time to run through some of the qualifying order here for you tonight. And on pole at Iowa Speedway in our inaugural event here, it's the defending Earl Ross Cup champion Ryan Gibson, still looking for his first victory of the season, Mark.
Yeah, and it's very late this season in his victory. Last year, he was really right out of the gates with his win. But hopefully tonight, Ryan can have some luck under his belt and get that victory.
And alongside him on the front row for Red Dirt Racing, the number 9 of Jacob Nelson, winner at Michigan a few weeks ago, and you drew comparisons between Iowa and Michigan in the pre-race.
Yeah, and like I said in the pre-race, Iowa is very similar to Michigan, just in the way that the track is wide like Michigan is. So we could very well see some very close racing between first and second here tonight.
And another guy looking for his first win of the season, the number 41 Stars and Stripes Racing Ford of Jose Mercado. He starts third.
Yeah, and Jose is another one of those drivers who's still looking to pick up that first victory. Hopefully he can get it here tonight as well.
And we'll see how that goes soon enough. Alongside him on row 2, we talked to him last week as well, the number 53 of John Peden for Cobra Kai, making 2 Cobra Kais in the top 4.
Yeah, and that's some good moves for Cobra Kai there. And I know John Peden was saying last week that he has had some success here in the trucks in some other of the series he races in. And we can probably see that transition here in the Cup race.
Indeed so, and rounding out the top 5, another Stars and Stripes entry, the number 97 of Ty Higginbotham, winner at Charlotte a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and Charlotte's a small track, so maybe that plays into Ty's hand here tonight.
Perhaps so, and another guy who's won this year is Mike Marini. He'll start 6th in the True North Racing Toyota.
Yeah, you can really see here now in the qualifying positions that it's really the drivers who have the most experience really getting the best out of qualifying here. But we can see maybe some guys who are lower down in the qualifying positions really worked on a race strategy.
We'll certainly see how it goes, and as we keep motoring through the top 10, in 7th, we have the Team Huzzah Ford Mustang of Chad Hyder out of Dayton, Ohio, sponsored by the Racing Roots with Ham podcast.
Yeah, and Chad has been doing really well in our series this season, and you know, is another one of those drivers who's in our top tier of our leagues, who might pick up the victory here tonight. You never know. All these drivers are great.
And alongside him on row 4, another guy who's won this year, Darcy Ford, winner at the start of the season at Daytona, very much locked into a playoff spot.
Yeah, very much locked in, but I know he's been searching for that second victory, much like all these other guys who do have victories as well.
And a guy who's come so close to victory lane on a couple of occasions, number 21 Midwest Elite Racing Ford of Matthew Paytack. He starts in 9th tonight.
Yeah, and Matthew's one of those drivers who likes to take it down to the last lap. Last lap, Charlie.
And rounding out our top 10 before we go live, last week's winner at Sonoma, and we do have a sticker for that as well, the number 17 Red Dirt Racing Chevy of Corbin McCauley from right here in Charlottetown, PEI.
Yeah, and it's really good to see these Red Dirt Racing drivers right up there in the top 10. Like we said in the pre-race show, they'll be looking to probably bolster up their standings in the team standings.
Indeed so, and we're just waiting on the word to say that we're good to go live here in our broadcast. And yeah, just while we wait for that, we'll go through a couple more drivers here just as we await the final word. And starting in 11th, one of the guys we were talking about in the bubble projection, the number 25 North Star Racing Chevy of Chase Beatty.
Yeah, sitting right there just on the outside looking in. I know it's going to be very, very close racing between all of these drivers who are looking to get that top 16 position.
Indeed so, as we just make sure that everything is all set here. And okay, just technical difficulties here for a second, folks. Just quick apologies. Let me just get this all sorted out. We'll be on to green flag racing here on the other side. Just, you know, sometimes you forget to save a couple of things, and that's what happened here. So we will have this up here in a matter of moments. We'll just miss about a lap or so, and then we'll officially have green flag racing. So again, just technical difficulties / potentially hosting difficulties on my side. We'll go with that for tonight. As, you know, it was bound to bite us one of these nights, as, you know, I like to do some test races here as well, and I'm admittedly not at the same level as our elite field that we have in the Canadian E-Motorsports Network here, Mark.
Hey, you know, we do our best. We do our best. But yeah, we'll be green racing here in a second, as I could see it on my screen.
Indeed we are, and it looks like we'll just give you a radio play-by-play here just as we wait for everything to come live. Jacob Nelson's taken the early lead here. Jose Mercado down into second place by the looks of things. Or could that potentially have been a disconnect for Ryan Gibson, who was previously on pole?
Ooh, it might be a disconnect for Gibson, who is on pole. but it looks like he's on track here now. He may have just dropped down in the positions here. It looks like he's battling with Andy Hurdle right here, right in front of them.
We're just watching Gibson here, and he actually shows up as the last invite here, so I would suggest he needed a new invite to get in, as we're officially on to not race complete. As a matter of fact, it's green flag racing here at Iowa Speedway as the Rampage Coffee Company 125 is officially underway. Jacob Nelson in the lead, Jose Mercado second, John Peden up into third, and that looks like Mike Marini in fourth.
Yeah, it's very close racing from second on to fourth position here now. It looks like Marini might get a move done on both of these drivers here now in a second.
And we'll certainly see how this progresses. As we mentioned, 3 stages here tonight, 34 laps in stage 1, 31 in stage 2, 67 is the long run in stage 3. And that'll be the one spot where we're looking at green flag pit stops, roughly 40 laps for a tank of fuel.
Yeah, like you said, 40 laps for a tank of fuel. My experience here at Iowa when I was just doing some test runs at home is that the tires will last. So you don't really need to worry about tire wear here. It'll be just smooth sailing for that. But like Jordy said, we'll be seeing some green flag racing as you only get 40 laps of fuel. So in the third stage, we'll see drivers take fuel and tires, and that'll just be the one green flag pit stop.
You've got that right as Nelson continues to lead. We're watching Jose Mercado right now in second place. Again, a guy who's still looking for his first win of the season. He's not feeling too worried about it here, though, just yet. We asked him about that on last week's post-race interview as well. He and John Peden are right there in the picture as Mercado looks to take the low line here on Nelson, potentially.
Very interesting. I remember Jose saying in the post-race interview that the low side works and the high side works. Where the drivers will get caught out is if they start running in the middle of the track. And it looks like Jose is taking advantage of that low side, but getting a side draft here right now on Jacob and getting a little bit of a bump from John Peden right behind him.
Indeed so, and you see both of those drivers along with Jacob Nelson sporting the green spoilers and rims in tribute to the Humboldt Broncos like we mentioned earlier. A number of our drivers in the field have actually taken that initiative here tonight, so we certainly applaud and appreciate what they've done here so far.
Yes, and it's not the first time we've had drivers change their paint schemes. Last year, I remember when the BLM was happening, the BLM movement was happening, a lot of the drivers sported the all-black paint schemes in honor of that, and it's really nice to see them really take on these anniversaries and these experiences.
And indeed, Jose Mercado was another guy who certainly did that as well with the, I believe it was a cancer-themed car in the pink toward the end of last season.
Yes, he did the Fight for Breast Cancer car, and he sported an all-pink car, which looked amazing, actually.
It definitely did, and looking amazing so far right now is John Peden at the tail end of this top 3, with Jacob Nelson still in the lead, Mercado running in second. They've got a little bit of separation here from the rest of the field in the admittedly very early stages as we see Marini there in fourth, Corbin McCauley making a nice move up the top 10 so far. Looks like he's running in fifth. Ty Higginbotham in the picture there too.
Yeah, we could see the door-to-door action happening already here in the first stage. Surprises me, actually, to see them battling this hard this early.
But, I mean, there's certainly quite a bit of competition here throughout the league as well. As we take a look at that back battle here, we see Ty Higginbotham and Chad Hyder. They were going for position. Hyder running a little bit high there a moment ago. Looks like Darcy Ford sporting the Broncos-themed paint scheme as well in the 64. So, a few cars looking the same, running very similarly. We'll see how that stacks up the rest of the way. Oh, we see a bit of contact there. I think that's Hyder and Ford who may have gotten a bit of a touch on one another.
Yeah, it looks like it. I really can't tell with these so many green cars.
Indeed so, but again, very great to see, that the theme come into play here, and, we see the corn cob there at the start-finish line. Also, green and gold, it's almost like we were meant to be here tonight.
Yeah, we really were, and the sidewall is green too.
Indeed so, as we are still with Ty Higginbotham. We'll just see. Oh, going tight there with Marini. That is a battle for 5th place by the looks of things. Yes, it is.
Ooh,
Wheel-to-wheel
door action. Wow, that's really close there.
And it should be noted, no cautions on here tonight as they were in Michigan, so that'll make things race a little bit differently as well, as we'll check in now on, well, Mike Marini. So we'll stay right with that battle. And again, that would be for Marini's in 6th place right now.
Yeah, and Marini's not one of those drivers who's really pushing for a victory, but it wouldn't hurt him if he actually grabbed that second victory here tonight.
And second official victory, we should point out, having grabbed the All-Star race a couple of weeks ago, certainly riding high off of that, or at least he was. He had pole at Sonoma last week, just couldn't convert.
Yeah, lost out a little bit. I'm not sure if there was some issues in the car setup or what, but there was some drop-off, and it was very surprising to see Mike Marini down as far as he was.
Indeed so, and we're looking in on Chad Hyder here. Now looks like he's at the tail end of that line, running around 10th place is where we're going to put him, perhaps 11th.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see here now that the drivers who elected to take the high side are really starting to lose out. As I'm riding here with Jacob, he looks like he's lost about 4 positions to the rest of the field, taking the high side. The low side is really starting to come through here right now.
And certainly some strong analysis from Jose Mercado on that point last week. If you want to go back and listen to our post-race interview from that, he certainly talked at length about, you know, some of the advantages of the lower line here at Iowa, and you're seeing it pay dividends here now. As you mentioned, Jacob Nelson falling back a little bit. He was the race leader in the early going, as we see somebody going, that looks like Jason McCory may be going into pit lane.
That's an early pit stop. Maybe some contact there that warrants a pit stop, perhaps.
And we'll certainly have to see how that goes here as we check in on Darcy Ford. It looks like he's going to have Chase Beatty on the back of him here in a matter of seconds, if not right now. Reggie Kime trying to get in that picture as well.
Yeah, and that's a tight battle going on there. And I think I just saw somebody go into the wall there on the front straight. I must have missed that, but it looked like it was a blue car. I think it might have been the car that's just tailing Darcy Ford right here, right now.
So that would be the 25 of Chase Beatty by the looks of things, or are you thinking Reggie Kime?
I might be thinking Reggie Kime.
Who's right ahead of Jacob Nelson as you're watching him on your screen there, Mark. As we will continue along, we're going to check in on Matthew Paytak here, the number 21 Midwest Elite Racing driver out of Vandalia, Ohio. Again, second place at Canadian Tire as there was a bit of contact between Paytak and Hyder. A couple of Ohio guys getting together.
Yeah.
OHNO. Don't let that happen.
Oh, no.
Indeed. As we are just trying to get a lap count here, Paytak had qualified in 9th here this evening. And again, is in a fairly solid playoff spot here right now, either in the top 10 or just outside it. As, again, we're just waiting for the official lap count from Race Control. Once we get that, we'll pass that along. And then we'll continue along to the number 17 of Corbin McCauley, who we were talking about earlier. Winner last week at Sonoma. Qualified 10th here tonight. He's got Ty Higginbotham on his back here. That looks like a battle for second place, as it looks like Mercado's got a bit of a gap from the rest of the field.
Yes, it is. I just got confirmation from Race Control here right now. Second place for Corbin McCauley in a tight battle here right now. That could change in a matter of seconds. I'm just getting a lap count from Race Control as well. So just give me a moment on that.
For sure. As we see, it looks like Higginbotham's trying to take that lower line to make a move on McCauley for second. Darcy Ford may try and follow him. And that's coming on the start-finish straight. Higginbotham and McCauley going to be side to side here going into turn one. And again, they're all chasing Jose Mercado right now as McCauley falls down to fourth. And now we go back in the field a little bit to chase Beatty, but not too far back by the looks of things. Looks like Beatty running in fifth place here, Mark. And I think we've got a lap count here as we see Beatty continuing his strong start.
6 laps left, if that's according to race control right now. And yes, like you said, Chase Beatty is in the middle of a very tight battle right now.
Indeed, there you see Beatty, Reggie Kime just trying to get by him there. I think that might be for 5th place if he sticks it. And Jacob Nelson, the fellow Tennessean, trying to get through here as well.
Yes, that's a battle for 5th and 6th right now.
With Nelson just in the background in 7th, as we're just going to go backward to our race leader, Jose Mercado, just because we have only a couple laps remaining in this stage. We'll just make sure we can follow him right to the end, presuming that he does, in fact, hang on.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going to get a lap on Darcy Cudmore here right now. And we have 3 laps to go.
And indeed, the laps tick off very quickly here at Iowa, roughly 23 seconds, somewhere in that ballpark, to cover this 7/8 of a mile track.
Yeah, 23 seconds. I wasn't able to hit that. I was actually doing like 24. I wasn't too good at the short tracks. Let's just say short tracks aren't really my thing. I would prefer big, wide racing, but, you know, it is what it is. We get what we get.
Shorter track means less room for error, to be sure, as Mercado comes through once again. Going through turns 1 and 2. I believe he'll be seeing the white flag for this stage this time around.
Yeah, and it looks like as these drivers are lapping these other cars right now, the lap traffic is going to play a factor into the driver in the lead, as a lot of these guys will get out of the way, but, you know, they can give the lead driver a few laps to play with here, as we see the caution come out right now for the stage.
Indeed so, and again, this absolutely flew by here, this opening stage. Jose Mercado appears to be your stage winner. We basically have our top 10, or top 5 at least, right here in front of us. Mercado first, Higginbotham second, Ford in third. McCory came in for the pit stop, so I don't know if he's in that equation there just yet.
Corbin would be in the equation there because he was right behind Mercado, as we have the top 10 right now.
All right. Well, on the other side of a commercial break, you can go ahead and fire away on that. And then we'll bring you stage number 2 of tonight's Rampage Coffee Company 125. So please stay with us. And we're back now for stage number 2 of tonight's Rampage Coffee Company 125. And Mark, I see we've got a top 10 here. You can go ahead and fire away, my good friend.
Yes, after last week's post-race interview, it looks like Jose put in a lot of work here at Iowa, coming out with the stage win in stage 1, followed by Ty Higginbotham in second, Darcy Ford in third, Corbin McCauley in fourth, Reggie Kime in fifth, Chase Beatty in 6th, Jacob Nielsen in 7th, Matthew Patak in 8th, Ryan Gibson, our pole sitter, in 9th, and our new addition to our league, that would be Hunter Young, rounding off our top 10. Good to see a new guy right there in the top 10.
So there you go. Hunter Young immediately on the board here in the Canadian E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series, and perhaps lost in all that discussion before, Ryan Gibson finishing 9th after what looked like a disconnection off the hop. He would have been at the back of the field, so for him to get up to 9th, that is an impressive opening stage for our defending Earl Ross Cup champion.
Oh, yes, and that just goes to show the skills of Ryan Gibson. Just being able to maintain a cool head and get back up to the top 10, that was Iowa's tricky, but to make your way all the way back from the back of the field, that's amazing. And just goes to show he's our Earl Ross Cup champion.
Absolutely. 6 victories last season. Again, still looking for his first this year, but certainly threatening here tonight already, as, again, he was the original pole sitter before, again, I think an issue with his invitation may have hampered his efforts to get in, but it looks like he's up into 5th now. So, again, we'll keep a very close eye on that as we keep a close eye on this field as it looks like Stars and Stripes teammates Higginbotham and Mercado are going side by side through turn 1. Or, excuse me, that's Darcy Ford.
Yeah, that's Darcy Ford. Not an unfamiliar battle from our series, actually. Those two were jostling a lot last year.
Again, a lot of green and gold here tonight, and I mean, we certainly appreciate the Edmonton football team as well, and the tribute to the Humboldt Broncos by a number of our drivers is amazing to see, and we certainly are grateful to have I'm not even sure what to say. It just like that. The guys being conscientious enough to actually take the time to mark that anniversary here as well.
Oh, yes, for sure. And it looks like actually right now the low side is working when the tires are really new. So like fresh tires, the low side is really going to pay off. But I saw it earlier, the high side is starting to work out for drivers once the tires start to drop off, because you will naturally want to slide the car up the racetrack, so that seems to be what's happening right now.
And obviously this is a bit of a shorter run, but how much of a factor do you think that could play in Stage 3 where it's 67 laps, Mark?
You know what? I can probably see someone who works on the long runs like Ryan Gibson to be really strong on that long run and really have a very smart strategy to kind of push himself up the field, as opposed to having to make those overtakes on track. He might actually make the overtakes in the pits. I know that sounds kind of weird, but if you overcut or undercut drivers, that can really move you up the field without having to actually make overtakes.
And again, something to be said certainly for finding speed in places where you may not have thought you could. As we check in on John Peden here, it looks like he's fallen down the field here a little bit, perhaps a byproduct of some pit stops there as well, because he was running fairly well in stage number 1. It just finished outside the points, however, so perhaps something happened later in the stage.
Yeah, I have a position here on Ty Higginbotham. It looks like he's in 6th right now. We'll just wait to see where John Peden is.
And now on cue, we go to Higginbotham in 6th, trying to hold off a large contingent headed by Chase Beatty there in 7th, and that would be Hunter Young that we're seeing in 8th, I do believe.
Yeah, and it looks like John Peden is right there in that group too, just behind Hunter Young as well, right behind Matthew Patak right now.
And so that would put Peden in 10th place right now.
So just outside the top 10 for those stage points.
Well, right on 10th place by the looks of it, as we go now to Mike Marini, who's right in there with Peden. So that would put him around 11th.
And he's got Matthew Patak right on the back bumper of him right now. So very, very, very tight racing as we see on track right now.
Indeed so. And, we're starting to see some pretty good battles forming here, and I mean that's perhaps to be expected with the quality of the field that we have here in the Canadian E-Motorsports Network, as we've alluded to a few times now. And we'll stay right with that battle we were just on, as we're with Chad Hyder now in the Team Huzzah Ford Mustang out of Dayton, Ohio.
So all of these drivers right here in this little group, all battling for positions, as Chad Hyder's in 12th right now. So we'll see a lot of movement here in this second stage. Those drivers really focusing on making those overtakes closer to the end of this stage, as it's smarter to make your overtakes closer to the end of a stage, as opposed to the beginning of a stage, where it's a lot less likely a crash or some contact will hamper those opportunities.
Indeed so. Couldn't have said it better myself. That's why you're here to say it better than I can in these cases, as we check in now on Darcy Ford running in 3rd place. Jose Mercado still your leader. Corbin McCauley running the high line right now in 2nd place. Ryan Gibson there in 4th. Looks like Jacob Nelson rounding out the top 5.
Yeah, and this is a very good battle. Corbin built up that head of steam after that win last week at Sonoma and is really making the high side work right now. Like I said, drivers will find more success once those tires start to drop off, and that's when they start to wear down right up in the high side right now. And it looks like Corbin is managing the high side really well as he gets door-to-door with Jose right now as we see him going to turn 1.
And indeed, there you see McCauley had taken the high line. There's, again, that group of 5, a little bit of separation between them and the rest of the field. Even Jacob Nelson falling off the tail. So you can call it a top 4 right now, essentially.
Yeah, and these are some of the top drivers of our series. Corbin being one of those drivers from the Formula 1 series we ran last season, and really showing that he's just a very racy person. Very, very fast person too.
You've got that right, as we're going to continue through the field back to Matthew Paytak, who we were talking about before, still running in that, well, let's just see where he is right now. See Chase Beatty a couple of cars ahead of him. And indeed, there's Paytak battling with Reggie Kime, Chad Hyder in the picture here as well. So that would put, Paytak around 10th place by the looks of things.
We have 15 laps to go. Last race control checked as we have a couple disconnections, I think, or one at least.
Indeed, so I saw it on your screen. It looks
some contact here on the back straight here.
Yeah, we saw Trent Nielsen running a little bit wide there on your screen, Mark, and we see some damage to the front of that Atlantic Motorsports Ford.
Looks like Jason McCory may have also been a part of that, although I'm not sure if that's a disconnection or not, because we don't see the wheels moving on the pit stop.
And for those of you who are new to the series, that's usually our indicator of whether or not a driver's still connected with us or not. So we will do our best to monitor those situations, but in the meantime, again, we see Corbin McCauley here on track. It looks like Trevor Kinsey got a bit of a ding behind him in the Team Huzzah Ford Mustang out of Midland, Michigan. But McCauley still running maybe a little bit of damage to the front of the Red Dirt Racing Chevy.
Yeah, and it looks like he's falling down too. Maybe that high side might be falling off a little bit as he's right behind John Peden right now on track. So the high side might be falling out as we come to the later stages of the stage, actually.
Indeed, so we're over halfway through this second stage now as we go on to Chase Beatty, who, again, turned in a strong stage 1 here to grab himself a few points. And, again, he was one of the guys that we were talking about in that bubble projection earlier. So every one of these stage points for the North Star Racing driver out of Lawton, Tennessee, crucial.
Very crucial. And a lot of these drivers from 16th all the way down to 20th are going to be battling really hard to get these stage points and just better finishing positions too.
Right you are, as we, again, things are just getting tighter and tighter as we get toward the end of the regular season. Now over halfway through it, coming through to last week, and that's
7 laps to go.
Thank you for that. As we go to Reggie Kime here, as he just comes through the screen, the Muskogee, Oklahoma native and Cobra Kai racing driver. And Kime looks like he's locked in a battle with Hunter Young here.
Battling for 6th, or is in 6th, but battling Hunter Young very hard right now for that 6th position.
And again, Young acquitting himself very well here in the Canadian E-Motorsports Network NASCAR Series. Certainly a couple of our drivers did have some familiarity with him before coming in, and, he passed all of the assessments there, just recently. And, that got us in here as we're down to 5 laps remaining now in the stage. Again, they tick away very quickly here at Iowa.
Very quickly indeed. Short tracks make short racing, so that's why.
You've got that right, partner, as we will try and, we'll get to the back half of the field here soon enough as we see Jose Mercado go into the wall. Oh, dear, what a time for us to go there. I've heard of the broadcaster's curse, but I want to say that was happening before we went there.
Let's say that. Let's just be safe and say that. No commentary curse here tonight.
Indeed so, as we, again, go back to, or we're with Mercado right now. Looks like he's dropped behind Ryan Gibson now. It looks like Darcy Ford has assumed our race lead by the looks of things.
and he's got Ryan Gibson right behind him right now. It doesn't look like that affected Jose too much. Still maintaining third position and keeping John Peden right behind him.
And, well, you say that. Peden's right on the back of him now, looking for third place, and Jacob Nelson trying to get in on the party as well.
Another thing I'd like to mention, Corbin's going to need to slot right in behind another car right here soon, or else he's going to lose more positions. That's just one thing I noticed. Corbin was trying to make the high side work, but it may need to move down and try to make a lower side line work. As we see Darcy Ford on track right now.
Battling Ryan Gibson here for the lead. Gibson trying to get the lower line. Oh, a bit of a, not 100% sure what happened there with Gibson, but looks like, I think we are into stage 2 caution here by the looks of things.
Yeah. Oh, that was fast.
If indeed it was. And so, we're through 2 stages out of 3 here tonight. Darcy Ford, your stage winner. Ryan Gibson just about grabbed the stage win and the additional playoff point.
I think he was trying to make a move work there right when that stage was ending, trying to send a dive bomb right up the inside of Darcy Ford.
And we've got our top 10 for stage 2. We'll report on the other side as we get through the full commercial break this time around to bring you stage 3 of tonight's Rampage Coffee Company 125. And we are back live now for the beginning of the third and final stage of tonight's Rampage Coffee Company 125 from the virtual Iowa Speedway in Newton, Iowa. And Mark, we've got ourselves a top 10 for stage 2. Fire away.
So our stage winner, as you saw, was Darcy Ford, followed in second place by Ryan Gibson. In third, we have John Peden. In fourth, we have Jose Mercado. In fifth, we have Jacob Nielsen. In sixth, we have Corbin McCauley. In seventh, we have Chase Beatty. In eighth, we have Ty Higginbotham. In ninth, we have Reggie Kime. And rounding off the top 10, we have our newest addition, Hunter Young.
Yeah, indeed. I think that may be the same 10 drivers that we saw in stage 1, just in a different order, though.
Yes, very similar to stage 1. Jose coming out on top in stage 1, but ultimately that little bit of an error pushed him down only into fourth position. So it didn't really affect his race too much. As we see, he's battling right now in the middle of that top pack there, right behind Matthew Paytak.
And speaking of Paytak, he would be the lone switch out of the stage 1 results, John Peden drawing into the top 10 after stage 2. Otherwise, the other 9 drivers are all the same, just in different orders, as we see almost 5 wide there a moment ago. Getting a little dangerous here on the short track.
Yeah, and it looks like we have a very tight battle for this top 5, really, right now. A lot of the drivers electing to take that high side up on the front straight, but really start to move down the track once they get into the NASCAR corners here.
And if you take a look at some of these drivers near the head of the field, you see a lot of similar players to the wreck in Charlotte that we saw a few weeks ago.
Oh, there's
and speaking
one!
of, oh my God, broadcasters jinx, I did it again.
Oh,
and
that's
just a huge wreck. Ryan Gibson turned around. I think Chase Beatty may have gotten caught up in that as well. John Peden got out of there unscathed somehow, and he's your leader.
Oh my goodness. Wow, that must have taken out half of the field there. As we see Ty Higginbotham coming in for a pit stop, Ryan Gibson in for a pit stop, Mike Marini in for a pit stop.
Yeah, we'll have to try and catch up on what has just happened here. We saw the tail end of it happen on our screen, but yeah, we're just not 100% sure on the details, how it happened. We know quite a bit of the field got collected in that as we see a little bit more contact on track.
Yeah, and it looks like Andy Hurdle got caught up in there. Must have been a driver that was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Oh, man, that was a big accident there.
Yeah, one of the bigger ones that we've seen in a while, and again, it took out some of the leaders. So, as much as I enjoy commentating, I may need to keep my mouth shut for a little bit. You go ahead and take it with some analysis here for a bit, Mark.
And you know what? You said it just before that happened. Those cars were in that wreck in Charlotte, and that really put some jeopardy into some drivers' playoff opportunities. But we see it again, those 4 drivers getting into it, but you know what? They're all friends, so I don't think too much is going to come out of that. No Kyle Busch's here, thankfully, or Joey Logano's, thankfully. But here we see John Peden really battling hard against Darcy Ford, looking like he might get the better of it as he just squeezes Ford out of first position.
They're going back and forth. I thought Jacob Nelson was going to try and make it 3 wide there a second ago. He is going to try and go lower. Oh, a bit of a wobble off the apron there from Nelson, so that can get a little bit touchy by the looks of things.
Yeah, just hitting that apron might have been what happened to Ryan, but it seemed like he was higher up on the track, so he might have just gotten loose. That might have just been an unforced error on Ryan Gibson's end.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear what happened in a potential debrief here. Meanwhile, it looks like Darcy Ford's taking the lead on the low line. John Peden still running in second.
And we have 59 laps to go from race control. I have some positions here after that big accident. Ty Higginbotham got pushed down to 25th. So that's just one of the drivers coming in on Discord explaining to our race control what position they're in, and it looks like Ty really got knocked out of the race here. So you know what? No cautions to really save anyone and to make any bold strategy calls. So it's just got to be racing all night, all long.
Yeah, all in, all out is how this is going to go as we're with Higginbotham right now. And again, he's got his teammate Jose Mercado right ahead of him. Both presumably caught up in that wreck that we saw off the beginning of stage number 3. And, you know, both of them had accrued significant stage points tonight here in both stage 1 and 2. Of course, Mercado taking stage 1 with Higginbotham second.
Yeah, and you know what? It was, luckily, they got those stage points. So it really might not hurt their playoff positions. But for drivers like Andy Hurdle, who did get caught up in that wreck, who was in the wrong place at the wrong time, you know what? That might push him out of that 16th place.
Indeed, we'll have to see how it goes, as I think we're going to call it a disconnection here for Mike Marini, as that's where our camera would be trained right now. And so we'll continue on to Chad Hyder, driver of the number 37 Team Huzzah Ford Mustang out of Dayton, Ohio. And Hyder just tucked in behind Chase Beatty right now. And again, I think Beatty may have gotten caught up in that as well, although, no, there's Beatty there. I'm not sure if he's lap traffic or if that's for position. We know he was running strong in the beginning.
Yeah, and from race control right now, Chad is running in 7th. So he must have picked up on those positions that those other drivers lost out on.
Indeed so, as we again see Beatty ahead of him, so that would put him in 6th. And looks like a good battle, 3, 4, 5 ahead of him, Kime, McCauley, and Nelson. Meanwhile, here's our lead battle once again, Darcy Ford and John Peden. As it looks like Ford still has the lead, both Ford and Peden electing for the lower line as they come through the turn.
Yeah, and you can see Jose and Corbin really working that high side there too. And we have 50 laps to go now.
Again, they tick away very, very quickly here at Iowa. The fact that those 2 stages finished as quickly as they did to get us to stage 3 in the first place, mon Dieu.
I was very surprised when race control was telling me we were on the last lap. I was like, really? Wow, that was fast.
Indeed so. Again, something to be said for those short tracks as we go on to Matthew Paytak. Here grabbed 8th place in stage number 1, was outside the top 10 in stage 2. But he's got a few extra points to show for himself so far here as we look to get a position on the number 21 Midwest Elite E-Racing Ford.
He is in 12th right now.
Okay, so, that's about where he's wound up in terms of the overall standings here, as I think I may actually have them here not right in front of me. I think, yeah, you've got them right on that sheet. Mark, again, I think he factors in right around 10th place in the driver's standings coming into tonight. So, again, Paytack turning in some decent results.
And our next driver up, I believe, would be Corbin McCauley, who's sitting in 5th place right now. So, yeah, really good race from Corbin, sitting right behind Jacob, looking to get a little bit of a split stream off of Reggie here right now.
Emphasis on the split part of that as opposed to the regular slipstream, as it looked like Corbin and Jacob were going on either side. Oh, I thought there may have been contact there between the two Tennessee boys, Nelson and Beatty. And speaking of Beatty, it looks like he's going to try and go low on Nelson here to get himself into the top 5. And he's going to be our next driver that we're looking at. So let's watch that one.
So yeah, it's a very, very strong battle right now for, I guess you can call it 5th. All of these drivers right now jostling for positions. Obviously, this might not end up where they finish. But yeah, very, very, very close battles right now.
Really, I would say you could call this 3 through 6 right now, as again, Beatty running in 6th. Nelson rounds out the top 5 with McCauley ahead of him. Reggie Kime running 3rd, which, if that holds, would be his best finish of the season to this point. As we see McCauley trying to go down low, Kime up a little bit higher, so he may lose out just a little bit, although, yeah, it's not quite at the point where the high line is going to help the tires as much.
No, not just yet, as we have 45 laps to go. 44 as we just crossed the line here, I believe. So, yeah, it's going to be a very, very close battle for 3rd.
And here's the man occupying 3rd place, the number 77 Cobra Kai Racing Ford of Reggie Kime. I was about to say Chevy, but that's what his teammates drive, Gibson and Peden.
And it was actually interesting to see that. So, winners, we have 2 Fords, 2 Chevys, and 2 Toyotas. So very even out on the manufacturers. Although we don't measure the manufacturer battle, it's a very, very close battle between those 3 manufacturers.
And you may have to add one more each for Chevy and Ford there, with Bailey and McCauley having won twice.
Oh, yes.
So 3-3-2 is how this one shakes out right now. But again, very even all the way across the board, just to get back to your point. As again, we see Kime doing a good job holding on to 3rd place right now. Looks like the top 2 have really separated themselves from the rest of the field here, however.
I would think to say that Reggie Kime has probably been one of our best improved drivers this season, too. I know last year as well he was very good, but this year he's really on the ball. And, getting those good finishes.
Well, he started the season strong, at least with the pole at the Clash. It just didn't turn into a result there, but I mean, he's hanging around in the playoff picture, certainly around that battle for 12th, 13th, 14th, somewhere in that ballpark.
I remember it was last week at Sonoma, too. He was right up there, but had that very weird accident later on in the stages. So, yeah, it must have been luck that must not have been playing out on Reggie's side. But, yeah, I just thought I'd mention that Reggie is, in my eyes, has been really up there, but just hasn't had the luck on his side.
Indeed so. And another guy who could use a little bit of luck as it relates to the playoff picture is the guy we're watching right now, the number 14 of Lee Campbell, the Ballston Spa, New York native, driving the Ford Mustang, sponsored by AutoZone for Team Huzzah. Currently 20th in the driver's standings, needing to make up a bit of ground over the next month and a half.
And he is in 16th right now.
And so, that could potentially help him, although, again, Chase Beatty's up the field a little more right now, and he's currently 21st in the standings. So, again, that's something that's, these stage points make it a little more unpredictable. Here's we see, I think that may have been Dan Cudmore coming in for a pit stop just at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, and I think I saw some of the drivers diving in. I was on Chad Hyder's screen. I think a few drivers are starting to hop into the pits.
And we shall see here, as it looks like I'm just watching And in the interest of full transparency, we haven't gotten the opportunity to use it tonight, but here's our first look at our split screen. We've got Jason Butler on one side, Kevin Daigle on the other. Both very, well, usually very similarly colored cars. Of course, Butler running a Humboldt Broncos tribute car
Number
here
two,
tonight.
what position are you in?
Kevin is in 11th place right now.
21st
And
for
Butler,
number 2.
as you see on your screen here, currently running in 8th. But again, that could be attributed to some pit stops happening ahead of him as well, and not to mention the accident earlier in the stage.
Right.
Lots of things happening here, and that would be entirely to be expected here at a short track. Hard to go to a short track and not have some chaos. Frankly, it wouldn't feel right.
29
As we check in now with Dan Cudmore, a bit of damage to the front of that Winston Racing Group Toyota, as it looks like he's trying to get a lap back from Corbin McCauley and Reggie Kime, as we do see some drivers coming into pit lane here. Oh, bit of a late. Oh, Trent Nielsen taking a bit of a harsh line there in the back.
Yeah, and Dan's sitting in 21st position right now.
So not the night the Winston Racing Group team owner would have wanted to have. Certainly he's a guy toward the bottom of that playoff picture right now, as we see a number of drivers making their way into pit lane.
Yeah, I think it's Chad Hyder. I thought I saw Matthew Paytak as well. Darcy Ford is in pit lane. So is Corbin McCauley. And a few other drivers. There's a sim glitch here.
Yes, we should make that clear.
Oh, that's crazy.
Meanwhile, yeah, some funny things going on your screen, but we're watching Zach Sullivan right now, the Stars and Stripes Racing Toyota out of Richmond, Indiana. And Sullivan, I know he had a couple of issues with disconnections earlier in the season, but he was able to stick it out at Sonoma last week. Looks like he's still kicking here at Iowa. So maybe something's gotten fixed up there in Indiana for him.
Yeah, and he's sitting in 14th place right now. Still, I believe, yet to make a pit stop, but sitting in a good 14th place right now.
And right now, on account of pit stops, your race leader is Jason Butler. So that gives us a good enough reason to go to his full screen live stream here. As again, he is currently your race leader, and you can get a sense of what the tire wear looks like. Certainly his right rear looks like it's taken an absolute beating here so far on the stage. Oh, as we see him going down low, wonder if he may be making his pit stop here as we speak.
Yes, it looks like he's going to make his pit stop. I was just about to say,
how many laps to go?
Maybe Butler might be trying to overcut the field, but we just saw him jump into the pits, so not likely.
And while we're here, let's take a look and see what Butler's going to do. As you saw the different options that he had in pit lane to be able to kind of make some changes to his car. And yeah, we'll see how this works out for him. And it looks like he got out relatively quickly here. So, all things considered, looks like he's kept that number 10 Humboldt Broncos themed 519E Racing Chevy fairly clean here. So we'll see where the London, Ontario native comes out. And he is rejoined in 8th place by the looks of things.
So smooth pit stop for Jason Butler here tonight as he stays in 8th place.
And we will actually go silent for a second, and we'll just let Butler handle things on his particular stream for a moment.
Underneath me this turn. I get it.
30 laps.
How many laps to go?
26 laps to go. 64 cars the leader. 4 seconds back to second place, which is the 9 car.
Wrong, it's the 17.
17 car. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. How are you going to confuse?
Wow, that is some great dialogue that we were hearing a moment ago in the Discord chat.
Corbin just want to make it known where he's at on track. Oh, Corbin's funny. funny person. I love Corbin.
Last week's winner at Sonoma, wanting everybody to know he's still very much in contention to go back-to-back here as we are back on track with Michael Dimitrov right now. And the Winston Racing Group Toyota has had a relatively quiet evening here, it has to be said.
17th place right now.
Well, again, that's potential for him to claw back a few points, as it looks like Beatty's just going to scoot by on the bottom line here.
We still have lots of laps to go. And as we saw at the beginning of this stage, there's room for some more action.
Oh, and speaking of action, we just about saw Beatty and Dimitrov touch. And looks like Mercado's going to try and make his way through here as well. Dimitrov just doing the gentlemanly thing and letting them make their way on through. As we go now to Jonathan Warr for the first time tonight, the True North Racing Toyota out of Saugerties, New York.
He is in 13th place right now with a lot of damage. You can see on that right side, that can be attributed to hitting the wall. You can see it's very tight, so a lot of the drivers will end up being slid up to the wall, and that's where you can see most of the contact coming from.
Indeed so, as we're going to continue our trek through the field here now, and we're going to look in on our bubble boy, I guess, going into tonight, Andy Hurdle, the number 44 out of Dayton, Ohio, driving for 519E Racing.
And he was one of those drivers that accidentally got caught up in that collision there, and it pushed him all the way down to 23rd place.
And so, again, for the guy who, was holding on to that spot by 1 point going into tonight, certainly not the night he's wanted to have to this point, as we go now to Jason Butler running in 10th place, according to his own live stream.
Yeah. I just got it from Race Control with 20 laps left.
Man, oh man, things are going by so fast here, and because of that, we might need to catch our breath for a second, so we're going to take one last commercial break, and then we're going to bring you the final 18 to 19 laps of tonight's Rampage Coffee Company 125, so please stay with us. And we're back with coverage of tonight's Rampage Coffee Company 125. Still observing Jason Butler here as we're coming up on 18 laps remaining in tonight's race.
Yeah, ticking down real fast. I mean, this short track action is not like a short track like Martinsville. Wider racing, so that's why these laps are going real fast.
And the other reason the race is going to be shorter here tonight is because Iowa's typically run with trucks and Xfinity drivers, so you would run at those distances, which are typically, well, I guess in this case it would be right around half of what a NASCAR distance would be, as once we get to Martinsville later, that would be a 250 for this series and a 500 in real life. So that's why you're seeing the shorter race here this time around, as we're going to go to Darcy Cudmore here in the Winston Racing Group Toyota with some damage to the front of that number 75.
In 22nd position, and we have 15 laps to go.
And again, they tick away very, very quickly here at Iowa, which we've all come to learn together, as this is our first time here in the NASCAR series. And as Cudmore makes his way through, just keeping on that higher line just to stay out of everybody's way, we are going to see, I think that's a disconnection for Michael Robinson. That would be our one-time checking on him here, the Blue Lobster driver for Atlantic Motorsports.
Is that a new paint scheme on his car?
It's his original one, but the numbers are green and gold for Humboldt, so that's what it is. So
I saw that, and I was like, oh, maybe there's a new Blue Lobster flavor out.
Yeah, you were close. And speaking of close, a guy who's been in contention all night, that would be our newcomer, Hunter Young, who we're looking at right now, the St. Catharines, Ontario native. Lovely down there in the Niagara.
Yeah, I actually have some family up there. Sitting down in 13th, so may have lost out on a few positions from pit stops, but otherwise, awesome from this new driver we have in our series right now.
And again, finished 10th in both of our stages here tonight, so he's got himself a couple of extra points already. And we should point out that in the event of a win, it would only apply to All-Star and Clash races for our upcoming third season. That's how that would go. That way, like, just to make sure that it's kind of fair to those who've been around, the mid-season driver won't have the opportunity, as we've got
11 laps to go.
Thank you very much. So again, we're ticking down very quickly here as we look in on the number 6 of Trevor Kinsey, the Team Huzzah Ford Mustang out of Midland, Michigan.
We're just going to get a position here now real quick.
And there you see Kinsey's also got some Humboldt Broncos outfitting on his car here tonight as well. So lovely to see the support from both sides of the border here tonight. And once we get that information, we will do our best to pass it along. But for now, we'll check in on the man who was originally our pole sitter, Ryan Gibson. But again, wound up at the back of the field, I think, on account of a disconnection with the invite to begin with. And, you know, Gibson, he's turned lemons into lemonade here tonight, or at least he did before the accident at the beginning of Stage 3.
Yeah, and you know what? It was very unfortunate that that happened because he was right up there. He was battling for first position from Ford just at the start of that stage. So, did we see some more action there?
Contact on your screen between Peden and Kinsey. It's just a little bump, I think, that sent Kinsey up. I don't think that's for position, but for now, we'll go back to the man who was at the head of that line there before, Jacob Nelson, who is running in, I believe, third right now. Indeed, that's the confirmation that we're getting.
Third with 7 laps to go. So this is a very good position for Jacob right now. I would say that Corbin is in second if he's not a lap down. So very, very good racing from Jacob here now to get himself up to third.
Well, we heard Corbin boldly declare he was in second a bit earlier, if you recall. So that would stand to reason, certainly, as we check in on Jose Mercado one last time, winner of stage number 1 here tonight. But again, caught up in that incident earlier and running in 15th, is that, or 6th? Okay, the 5 and the 1, the finger math doesn't always work for us here, but that's how it goes sometimes. As we will go now to Jonathan Peden, the Cobra Kai Racing Chevy driver out of Pensacola, Florida. 3rd place last week.
7th right now.
And again, great job by Race Control to report on that for us as we're coming up on, I believe, 5 laps remaining if we're not underneath that already. And I'll just keep an eye from Jason Butler's stream here on our other screen as we look in on Ty Higginbotham. And indeed, 5 laps remaining on Jason Butler's screen, so that may well be 4 in the overall race because that would be delayed for us as well. If that would be one thing to recall here as we look in on Chad Hyder. Now again, we saw Mike Marini disconnected fairly early on tonight. And again, Hyder will do our best to check in there, but again, believe Darcy Ford is still your race leader, and in that particular case, I think we're going to just stay with him the rest of the way if he is in fact still the race leader. Again, we're doing our best to get the confirmation on that, and that would put him at, so Butler just went through 3 laps to go, and so for Ford, this would be 2 laps to go. He's coming through turn 2. He may even see the white flag this time around.
And he should see the white flag right now as he crosses the line. Coming right before the pit straight, he crosses the line right now. So this would be the white flag.
Indeed so, as we make sure we get that up there. Final lap of tonight's Rampage Coffee Company 125. And did we actually... it looks like he's still maintaining decent pace here right now. Or have we actually missed the final lap? Because it looks like he's going fairly slow here. So we may have actually gotten him right at the tail end of his victory lap here.
Or did everyone just run out of fuel?
Well, I haven't heard much to suggest otherwise. You've seen him go through. But again, it looks like our race is complete with, I think we're going to go ahead and call it. Darcy Ford with his second victory of the season. And it comes at the Rampage Coffee Company 125 from the virtual Iowa Speedway. And with his second victory of the season, that'll put him right back at the top of the overall standings.
And wow, what a race for Darcy Ford. That was an awesome race, actually. First time in Iowa. I think we should go back.
And I imagine we probably will be going back, but we're going to go right now to one more commercial, and on the other side, we'll bring you the final order. All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, that was a very quick race here tonight at the Rampage Coffee Company 125, and we've got our final results here for you. Just 8 cars wound up on the lead lap here tonight, as again, we'll go through our final results. And again, tonight's winner is the number 64 of Darcy Ford, and that's his second victory of the season. And as mentioned before, just purely on points now, he's level with Scott Bailey and Corbin McCauley on wins, but on overall points, that puts him number 1 in the standings once again.
Yeah, and for a long time, it didn't look like he was going to get that second victory. But with this tonight, you know what? That makes him take back his lead, as you said.
And he finishes 4 seconds adrift of last week's winner at Sonoma, Corbin McCauley, the Red Dirt Racing Chevy out of Charlottetown, PEI.
Yeah, and it was a great race from Corbin. Very, very well maintained on the high side. Made it work really well throughout the race tonight.
And make it 2 Red Dirt drivers in the top 3 as Jacob Nelson comes home in third, the Clarksville, Tennessee driver.
Yeah, and you know what? That is the Red Dirt Racing magic that we were looking for in the pre-race show, as that should move them up a few positions in the team standings.
Yeah, it could make them a threat, certainly, as we continue our way through the top 10. Coming in 4th place, this is best finish of the season, the number 77 Cobra Kai Ford of Reggie Kime out of Muskogee, Oklahoma.
It was a very good race from Reggie on his side, and he managed to stay on the lead lap and with his best finish of the season. So great job, Reggie.
Speaking of best finishes of the season, Chase Beatty brings home his first top 5 for North Star Racing, the Lawton, Tennessee native, picking up some valuable points here tonight as he tries to claw his way into the playoffs.
Yeah, had some disconnection issues earlier in the season, but really found the luck here at the short track here in Iowa.
And now we're talking about luck a little bit. Another guy who's still searching for luck a little bit, the number 41 of Jose Mercado, the Stars and Stripes Racing Ford, finishes 6th tonight.
Yeah, unluckily caught up in that little bit of an accident there, but didn't really derail his race. So, yeah, still looking for that first victory this season, but I'm sure he'll get it sometime.
And another guy who's still in that conversation is the number 53 Cobra Kai Chevy of John Peden, the Pensacola, Florida native, comes home 7th.
Yeah, and still leading that Rookie of the Year standings right now as it goes on into the next race. But really good, strong drive from John Peden here tonight.
And rounding out the cars who finished on the lead lap tonight, the number 37 Team Huzzah Ford Mustang of Chad Hyder out of Dayton, Ohio.
And you know what? I said it at the beginning. This was a track where the top drivers from our series really excelled at. And you could see it right now with Chad being the last car on the lead lap.
And indeed, now we get into the cars who are a lap down. We start with Kevin Daigle turning in a 9th place finish in his True North Racing Toyota here tonight.
Yeah, it was a very good drive from Kevin Daigle, sitting in 9th place, just ahead of Jason Butler. And yeah, both of them turned out a strong race.
Indeed so, and a number of other drivers finished 1 lap down here as well. We'll continue our way through the field. Jonathan Warr with a nice recovery to finish in 11th for True North. So that's a couple of True North guys picking up some solid points there. Zach Sullivan with his best finish of the season, coming home in 12th in the Stars and Stripes Racing Toyota. Series newcomer Hunter Young finishes in 13th tonight in his number 20 Red Dirt Racing Ford. So all 3 Red Dirt drivers in the top 13, really good sign for them.
Yeah, and that's a big collection of points, too.
Indeed so. And then Matthew Patak, the lone Midwest Elite e-racing driver in the field tonight, he finishes 14th.
Yeah, and you know what? That might put a big hammer in the Midwest Elite's team standings. So hopefully next week we'll have those other 2 drivers back in the field.
Indeed, certainly missed Scott Bailey and Michael Wolford here tonight, the 2 Michiganders, as they call them. And certainly, we're, again, looking forward to seeing them back on track here next week as we continue through the standings here. Coming home 15th, the number 14 of Lee Campbell, the Team Azad driver out of Ballston Spa, New York.
Yeah, and a great drive. Didn't get to see much of him tonight, but really good finish here tonight.
And we've got a couple of Winston Racing Group drivers finishing 16th and 17th. Michael Dimitrov comes home 16th, and teammate Dan Cudmore 17th.
So that's a good haul of points for them as well. So that should shoot Winston Racing up a few positions too, maybe.
And now we get into a few of the cars that finished 2 laps down. Chief among them, the number 97 Stars and Stripes Toyota of Ty Higginbotham out of Kansas City, Missouri. We saw him get caught up in that accident toward the start of stage number 3.
Yeah, and right behind him is Ryan Gibson, who made that unforced error and caused that accident. So some very tough luck on his side tonight. But hopefully he can get his season rolling off next week.
Indeed so, and rounding out the top 20 is the number 6 of Trevor Kinsey, the Team Huzzah driver out of Midland, Michigan. Now, as we take a look through the rest of the field, Trent Nielsen comes home 21st in the Atlantic Motorsports Ford Mustang out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Right behind him is the man who entered tonight on the bubble, the number 44 519 E-Racing Ford of Andy Hurdle out of Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah, and he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I think he ended up getting collected in that little bit of an accident, but hopefully next week he can get back up there.
Hurdle finishes 3 laps down, as does Darcy Cudmore in 23rd, as we wind up with 26 drivers in our field overall tonight, and the remaining 3 drivers were unfortunately all disconnections here this evening. Mike Marini finishing in 24th. Jason McCory coming home in 25th, with Michael Robinson rounding out the field in his Atlantic Motorsports Ford Mustang, sponsored by Blue Lobster.
Yeah, so some disconnections. So 23 drivers finishing, with those 3 drivers disconnecting from a race tonight.
And again, a bit of a shorter race here tonight, but we're back to the full-length tracks here next week as we head to the ATL for round 3 of the Fix Auto Cup and round 10 overall in our regular season. The Fix Auto Charlottetown 250, and that'll go down next Tuesday night, April 13th.
I'm looking forward to Atlanta.
Atlanta, certainly an interesting place with a little bit of history for those who recall how things may have went last year in the Canadian E-Motorsports Network NASCAR series, but we'll be sure to rehash a little bit of that as we get into next week. But for now, we're going to go ahead and sign off. So, for the entire Canadian E-Motorsports Network team here, my name's Jordy Carahern alongside Mark Cox on commentary. We hope you've enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Again, it was a unique venue at Iowa with, some unique circumstances with all the Humboldt Broncos tributes. But again, we're back to some semblance of normal here next week, and we hope you're there to join us.